Today's lesson is lesson 12, and we're studying fruit farms. Have you ever had the privilege of picking fresh fruit from the plant it grows on? There's truly nothing like the sweet juice of a fresh peach or plum streaming down your cheek, or the burst of a flavor you experience when you bite into a freshly picked strawberry. Fruit may be one of the most amazing types of food God created. Long before candy was invented, a sweet tooth was satisfied by a delicious bowl of freshly picked berries or a slice of juicy watermelon straight from the garden. Bursting with flavor, these amazing foods are also packed full of vitamins and nutrients that keep you healthy and strong. When you think about fruit, you might think of the wonderfully sweet fruits that tempt you in the produce aisle and the farmer's market. Can you picture these colorful sweet treats with their juicy or pulpy textures? Scientifically speaking, a fruit is any structure that has seeds inside. This means that technically a tomato is a fruit, a cucumber is a fruit, and even a pumpkin is a fruit. In the same way, the pod of a bean or a pea is also a fruit. When you eat a snap pea or a green bean, you are eating a fruit. However, when you eat dried beans or just the peas themselves, you are only eating the seed that grew in the fruit. Confusing, right? For today's lesson, we are going to focus on learning about the traditional fruit that you might think about when you hear the word fruit, such as apples, pears, cherries, lemons, tomatoes, strawberries, oranges, and the like. Extension activity. Take a break and go grab a bowl of fruit to snack on, or while you read this lesson. If you have one of the types of fruit in your bowl that we learn about today, take some time to look at it and talk about it. You can talk about how this fruit is farmed or processed, or even just discussion what you like about the particular fruit. Education. Fruit farmers can attend post-secondary school to prepare for their career and to learn about the ways to grow various fruits. Some take courses in general horticulture, while others take a course of study specifically geared toward the type of fruit farm they want to build. In recent years, the science behind fruit trees and the orchards where they grow has changed for people who live in climates that are not warm all year long. Trees that used to die during cold winters can now be cultivated successfully thanks to scientific advances. Young men and women who take these courses are prepared to make wise decisions for their fruit farm, having all of the most up-to-date information. Every type of fruit tree has a specific environment where it grows best, and every perennial plant has a hardness rating. Hardiness indicates how cold the plant can get in the winter before will winter kill and not grow again in the coming spring. In Canada and other countries that sit in northern latitudes, some trees cannot survive the cold winters. However, scientists have discovered that if they graft a small tree onto the root of a tree that is hardy in these northern climates, trees that would once have died over the winter are now able to thrive. As an example, there are some apple trees that are hardy in northern climates, but many more that do not survive the harsh winters. Today, many varieties of apple trees are grafted onto the hardiest of roots to ensure that the trees will make it through the winter. While this does not work with all fruits, northern farmers and orchard owners are excited about the new option these advances have opened to them. Today, you can also find cherry and plum trees that will grow in northern Canada, thanks to this technique. Just a few decades ago, that was unheard of. A day in the life of an orchard farmer. Meet David. His family has been in the orchard business in Canada for 4 generations. He looks to his grandfather for wisdom in so many things about the family farm. No one knows the land and the original trees like that man does. Today, David is going out to plant some new apple orchards apple trees he ordered. With the ability to graft different varieties of apple onto hardy rootstock, he is excited to introduce his customers to this new variety of apple that has never been grown locally before. It took some explaining, but he convinced the family to invest in a new plot of land that he could use to start these new varieties. Today, he puts the first trees in the ground. It will be hard work, but he is so excited to see the fruit in the coming years once he is done planting the new trees. He heads back to the original orchard to prune and care for the trees that will produce fruit to pay the bills this season. Growing fruit. When you think about how fruit is grown, you might immediately think about an orchard, a fruit farm that grows fruit trees. As you wander through an orchard during the harvest season, the trees heavily with your favorite drupes, also known as stone fruit, citrus fruits, apples, and other delicious treats. These trees take time to grow to maturity so they can produce fruit ready for a farm stand or a grocery store. Farmers who tend orchards need to understand how to feed these trees. They must make sure their trees have proper nutrients so they can produce healthy, good quality fruit year after year. Fruit trees, like any tree, grow branches tall and strong, reaching toward the sunlight. If the trees are not tended to, it can be difficult to reach all of the fruit in the tallest branches of a fruit tree. While some orchards allow their trees to grow tall with very little interference, this usually results in difficulty harvesting all the fruit and sometimes even impacts the quality of the fruit produced. In many orchards, trees are pruned so the fruit is easy to harvest and the trees are capable of producing the best fruit possible. Not all fruit grows on trees. Some fruit grows on bushes, like raspberries, blueberries, blackberries, and currants. Bushes are woody plants that resemble small trees. They do not need to be pruned as much as fruit trees because they do not grow as tall, but some types, like blackberries and raspberries, spread rapidly and need to be tamed or thinned in order to keep them in neat and tidy rows. If they are allowed to get out of control, it is difficult to harvest the berries, and in the case of raspberry and blackberries, it can be painful to try to pick them because of the thorns that poke out the stalks. Some fruits come back year after year, even though they do not have woody branches like bushes or trees. Strawberries continue to grow year after year, sending out runners that can be rooted and grown into the mature plants. Managing a strawberry plant takes dedication and care, as Gideon probably well knows. While they will continue to grow year after year with minimal interference, if they are not cared for and the runners moved into new rows, the plants can quickly take over an area and make it difficult to harvest. Strawberries can also decrease in size after a few years if the plants are not managed well. Producing big, juicy berries in a large strawberry patch requires maintenance and care. Most fruit forms from a single flower, but some fruits form in a unique way. Some people assume that pineapples grow on trees, but they are actually a plant that grows from the ground, unlike fruits that are perennials, plants that grow back every year. Pineapple plants are started from plants that have already been harvested, using parts of the old plants called suckers and stems. Once they are planted and the new plant is thriving, the fruit is formed from an inflorescent. Inflorescent is just a fancy way of saying bunch of flowers that all grow together. A single pineapple can have as many as 200 or more flowers involved in the formation of its scrumptious fruit. Have you ever noticed that the skin of a pineapple has what looks like little patches on it? Each of these little patches shows where a flower used to be before it formed into the fruit. When the fruit is mature, it is sweet and delicious. It has a juicy texture that is unique and wonderful. A fresh pineapple in the grocery store may seem like an expensive luxury. The high price tag is because it can take over a year for a single pineapple to grow to maturity on a farm with just the right climate and temperature. Some fruits must be planted every year. There are several varieties of melon that are cultivated in fields and gardens during the hot summer months. Melons are related to squashes and gourds, but are distinct in their soft, juicy texture that is very much unlike the hard texture of a squash. Watermelon, honeydew melon, and cantaloupe are perhaps the most commonly known, but there are many other varieties of delicious sweet melons as well. Some melons, like watermelons and honeydews, come in a variety of shades. Honeydew melons can be green, white, or orange. Watermelons vary in color from the well-known flesh red to orange, pink, and even yellow. Melons are a delightful addition to any fruit platter. Machinery and equipment. The type of a fruit farmer determines the machinery and equipment they need. However, like all farmers, fruit farmers require land. Farmers who operate orchards need fewer pieces of large equipment because they are not required to plow and plant their seeds every year. Farmers who plant melons or pineapples need large tractors to plow their fields and prepare them for planting. Farmers who grow berry often use smaller equipment to help them till between the rows of fruit so they can keep the rows neat and tidy. Have you ever driven past a field in summer and noticed the bright, shiny objects that appear to be hanging from bushes? Some berry bushes, like raspberries and blackberries, have thorns as a natural defense from the birds that might like to snack on their juicy fruit. Other berries do not have such natural defenses. Many berry farmers hang shiny, reflective tape to scare birds away from their berry patches. This ensures that their fruit is left alone until it is ready to be harvested. Storage and processing. Many fruits require delicate handling as they are processed. Many harvesting of fruit is done by hand, not machine. Just imagine what a handful of blueberries that were harvested by a combine would look like. Even if they were edible, they wouldn't be very appealing. Workers who harvest fruit must be familiar with the level of ripeness that is required for the type of fruit they are working with. Some types of fruit can be picked when they are not fully ripe, and they will ripen slowly as they are shipped. Others will not continue ripening after they are picked, so they must be harvested at just the right time. Fruits that ripen after they are picked are often picked a little bit before they are fully ripe so they can have time to get to the store before they become overripe. Peaches, plums, blueberries, mangoes, berries, cantaloupe, and bananas are fruit that ripen after they are picked. Many of these fruit are quite firm before they ripen. Transporting them in this state prevents them from bruising easily. Some fruits that are picked when they are extremely unripe, like bananas and avocados, undergo a ripening process that happens between picking and arriving in your local produce section. This induced ripening process occurs in carefully controlled climates. Ethylene gas, a natural gas that is released from ripened fruit, is pumped into rooms with green fruit, signaling fruit to begin the ripening process. Once this process is complete, the fruit is shipped to stores for sale. Fruits that do not ripen after they are picked require very careful treatment. Strawberries, watermelons, cherries, apples, citrus fruits, and others do not ripen once they are picked. While some of these fruits are hard to bruise, like watermelon and citrus fruits, others are very delicate. Bruised fruit does not sell well in the store. No one wants to buy the container of strawberries that looks mushy. A hot-button topic. Some fruit farms in the United States and Canada employ migrant workers. Sometimes these workers are taken advantage of and are not offered the fair pay that local citizens would be paid to do the same work for harvesting crops. There are people who have very strong feelings about this issue. Some people feel that they would rather pay more money for their food to know that people who harvest it were well paid. Other people feel that their food costs too much money already, and they choose to buy whatever is cheapest. Some people prefer to buy produce from the local farmers market, while others enjoy growing their own. Many people may not have even considered these issues or thought much about them, where their food comes from. There are a lot of ways to get produce in North America, and different reasons behind their decisions. Discuss how your family balances these realities as you make food choices. To the table. Fruit is a feature on breakfast menus and in desserts. There is nothing like fresh, in-the-season fruit to start your day. Fruit is also featured as a snack food at parties and get-togethers, from children's birthdays to backyard cookouts to office luncheons. The sweet, succulent nature of fruit appeals to almost everyone's taste. The fruit platter at any function is bound to be one of the first things emptied. Fruit farmers put a lot of effort and love in the cultivation of these delicious fruits so you can enjoy them in a pie, add them to ice cream, or make a cobbler for a decadent dessert. The next time you have some fruit on your table for a meal, thank Jesus for the fruit farmers. Hands-on activity. Plan a guessing game by taking turns placing your hands behind your back and guessing what fruit is in your hands. Use as many vocabulary words as you can. That concludes Lesson 12 for today.